Hola and welcome back in. We're going to do some painting. Now, first up, what's up? You've had plenty of snacks and you've had breakfast. There's no need to complain. Now, first up, we're going to be working with what's called a rat tail brush. That's this shape here. So it tapers up to one end. It allows for detail and coverage. This one here has been very, very trusty and is now looking like a proper mess. So we'll have some fun with it. Now, first things first. What a nice clean plate. That's numero uno. And then we're just going to bounce around all the colours we think might be a bit of fun. Neutral grey, more neutral grey. Why have I got double neutral grey? White, ultramarine blue, classic. What's this? Phthalo green, always a banger. I always keep these around too. These are big tubs of just poster paint. And the reason why these are great is if my daughter Koopy comes along, I can pretend like she's joining me when actually I'm giving her poster paint. Gaslighting 101. Now, the other thing, I'm probably gonna load up the tray with a whole bunch of paint today and just lay it on really thick. I don't have a thick gel that I'm going to add into the paint, so it's just going to be pure color that goes in there and does the job. That's the plan. So acrylics, ugh. Come on, it's not very nice, not very fair. My old classic favorite, a bit of magenta. Magenta is one of those colors that I guess it looks better in light. I love it as a paint, but it looks better as something that's backlit, like through LEDs. And it's funny because on your screen you're seeing it through the light of a phone. So the magenta you guys see and the magenta how it actually lands are kind of two different experiences. But fun fact, let me just flick you over there. Hello, who's that? Just Josh? It's not just Josh, you are the Josh. One of the Joshes. Okay, so rat tail brush. It's gonna let me cover more of the area and play around a bit more, which I'm here for. And we're just gonna put it wherever we see fit, all over the show. Here's our plate. There's a bit of water on the plate. That allows the paint to run just a little bit more. And now that the canvas is fully covered, our only responsibility is to play with color, play with shape, construction, and hopefully as we continue to paint, the picture will just reveal itself. Or it won't, and we'll be here forever. You never know. You never know. Behind me, this is the gorge, so we're painting the gorge. Hey Jay, how we doing? So you can see behind me here, Chilean fire trees. We've got our lovely maple just over here. Loki's having a sleep on the ground. He's like, wait a minute, I know when you start doing this, boss, this means that you're gonna start painting. I get no attention, so he's not excited about this because you can't actually use this brush. This is custom made. That's actually a wood handle that my uncle made up. I'm good, Jay. I'm very good. But you can buy your own or make your own. Those are all options available to you. What was I saying? Oh, maple. Problem for Loki with actually painting is he doesn't have opposable thumbs or fingers. He's got paws. Most dogs have paws. And because of that, he's unable to use the stereotypical human tools like brushes to create artwork. Though his inspiration wants to soar, the hands are not available to do so, which you don't know, maybe AI is going to fix that one day and we'll be somewhere else entirely. Who's that? G'day M, how you doing? Love the simplicity in a name. M. Or is it Anyway, thanks for joining M. I really appreciate you being here. The weather might come in on us, but I'm kind of hoping that we'll get plenty enough time to do this one, and then I was probably going to nip out to the shed to do some canvas prepping, because there's 2 canvases we need to prep. 2 amazing works to be created for of all people, extended family. Welcome on in, Heat. Blessing from Hawke's Bay. Welcome on in. Hawke's Bay. Been a while since I've been there. Place I like. I actually got some wine the other day. I didn't get the wine. Shelby got the wine. She won it. Canterbury. I didn't realise Canterbury even made wine. It wasn't euphoric. I'm more of a fan of, I gotta say it, I'm more of a fan of, I like the classic regions. South Island Pinot Noirs and things like that. Otago, Hunt Away. Hey Loki, you're not allowed to play with the stand, mate. Leave it. Hands off, Loki. Good boy. Good boy. Loki's been nothing but a good boy as of late. He'd like everyone to know that he is the goodest boy. Hopefully, as we continue to go to, at the moment it's got a bit of a 3D feel to it, but not enough of it. As we continue to throw paint at it, it should start to get a real 3D depth to it, if we do it right. Not constructed either, kind of just something that appears in the work almost as if by accident. That's the hard part, trying to make something appear spontaneous in the work as if by accident, when really it's like being carefully created and constructed into the work. So kind of dancing always looks better when it feels like it's spontaneous, you know? Art's no different. Singing as well. Like, who was I listening to about singing? I was actually at this property. It was a leftover letter to the owner, who used to be a singer who lived in this house before I did. And the letter was saying that the mark of a truly great singer is the ability to sound like they're singing the song for the first time every time they're singing it, as if they're really feeling the emotions and living in the words, not repeating them, but realizing them. And art's kind of the same, where it wants to feel like, even though it's been carefully created and methodically built, that there's a spontaneity in there. And then if you can actually create that spontaneity in there, even through methodical strokes, then it's not just faking it, it does have spontaneity. How wonderful is that? Hello, butterfly. Aye, aye, aye. I am your butterfly. Need your production. Aye, 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 I am your butterfly. Do, 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 do. that light's just disappeared behind a big, gooey, dark blue cloud. So we might do something naughty. We'll see how we go. But one thing we can do, yeah, Loki's hanging out. If the light keeps getting cooked on us and the artwork kind of glazes over like that, we might even grab, like, ambitiously, an actual floodlight and just beam it in the direction of the art, probably up and down. But we'll hold fire for now because I can see quite well, but I'm worried about you guys. I've got so many floodlights, so if that does come into fruition and it's a requirement, just because it changes so gradually that my eyes adjust. But if you're looking at it going, that's all just fading out on me, because technology is so good these days, guys. Things should be crisp and fun. There we go. Another fun combination. Not Naples yellow. Regular grey into magenta. Gives like a fun kind of modern, not sickly pink, just delicate pink. Not even pink. Kind of like a intellectual salmon. Ooh. Is that a term? It is now. I am your butterfly. Need your production. There we go. And like, this is the thing, this rat tail brush here, let me come down close. See that there? So the brush curves up at the corner of it. So I've got two options. I can smear and cover it with a big thick line, or you see that little corner up there? I can dab very delicately. So you've got the option of a big touch, yum, and the option of a subtle touch. And you don't really get that with, when you're saying, well, what's the difference? Here we go. Voila. So see that brush has straight bristles across the top? You can try and angle it funny and do tiny touch points, but it doesn't lean itself to that super nicely. The rat tail, excuse its name, angles up slightly, so it tries to make a tip. And then when you smear the brush, it makes very little difference. So usually you'll find rat tail brushes get used in commercial painting because they can cut around stuff quick and easily. But a lot of artists don't use them. And like, this is the problem. You know, commercial painters are trying to go for something that's a hybrid and effective in a lot of situations, and old school painters, we do get stuck in our ways, and we're like, nah, this is the brush made from a certain type of fiber that will revolutionize the artwork. No, just go to a rat tail brush. You can make an thank you, Em. You can make an entire artwork out of a rat tail brush. And actually, the bigger the rat tail brush, like that brush there, that's about half an inch or 2/3 of an inch wide, and the ability to go down to about a couple of mil, whatever that is in an inch form, wide, you can do a whole painting with it. So you don't need to swap brushes and get smaller and smaller. This one just leans itself to do whatever it is you want to do. Like, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like, I do keep, I'll show you this. Got a rat tail brush, and then the back up here is we have a stack. These are all exactly the same. And that's because when you start dabbing around little colors, you don't have time to slowly rotate through colors, so you just keep wiping brushes off. And then this one's a custom made job, so you can't get this one unless you have a canine who bites the end off it. That's custom. That's this will be the rarest of all the brushes. You need to first get a golden retriever, train them not to bite brushes, and then leave a brush on the floor. So there's like quite a gestation period to getting a brush like that. And then he has to grab the brush and chew it just enough to bite the end off, but not enough to ruin the bristles. So you have to watch and wait quite carefully, you know. Rare brushes. All right. Alrighty, tighty. Yeah. Did we add red today? We did. Just looking at it, thinking the red is a poppin', and that makes sense because when you add acrylics off the bat, they have this wonderful glossy glow to them, which then fades as they dry and they become a bit more matte effect, but you always get it back to the way you painted it when you add on the varnish at the end. So oils don't need a varnish as bad as acrylics do to get that wonderful finishing pop. In fact, oils kind of finish with their pop. You just need to wait so much longer for an oil to dry, is the reality of the situation. But with acrylics, as long as you can perceive, be patient, wait until the final coat to add that pop to it, you'll still get it. But you'll only see what the acrylics truly look like when you add them and when you varnish it. Those two key steps. You don't have to use like a dirty thick varnish, even just a light aerosol spray one that changes the sheen level of the paint. That's all you need to do, the sheen. And to go from that kind of matte, satiny finish to a uniform gloss. But the other way to do it is to get gloss all through your paint, lash it on the surface, you've got gloss everywhere, and then to finish off with matte paint, because then you get the different lights catching in funky ways. And like a lot of people, I didn't bring out a rag with me. Didn't bring out a rag. Kinda. Oh no! Look what happened. Got a rag now. Wonderful. The alternative was going all the way inside, guys. I'm not about that life. I'm a busy man. I am a busy man, but the thing is, I don't like wearing my shoes inside the house, obviously. So, Loki, that's my tree. Oh, I love that dog to bits, but he knows not to bite things inside, but the poor little fella gets outside and he's like, so everything's fair game? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe not the Chilean fire trees and magnolias and maples. Like, agapanthus, go to town. You know, you can see I've got a town on these agapanthuses. Look at that, I whacked them with a weed whacker. But the poor little fella thinks, right, it's green and outside, I'm allowed to chew it. And I respect that. That's he is a smart dog. I'm sure everyone thinks that about their dogs. I think all dogs are quite smarter than we realise, but when you have your own dog, you watch them for longer and you become aware of the intelligent thoughts that they're having. When I say intelligent thoughts, like, I'm not talking about calculus, I'm just talking about they're reading situations and deciding, little micro decisions all over the show. And same with a human, you're raising a little baby who then suddenly at 1 or 2 years old is playing the politics of the room, and you knew them as potato, but now they're actually this living thing making decisions with its own frontal cortex that you have to navigate. It's really interesting. I can see why people who have dogs just fall in love with them and want them around forever. I'm already kind of gutted. He's not even a year old, but you're like, he's only going to be with us for a decade. That's really tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. Then again, if you only felt joy and happiness and excitement for a decade, you've kind of ticked the box. It's that we spend so much time being sad or numb or working that we, hour for hour, dog spends 10 years non-stop happy. We spend 100 years alive and get 10 years happy. Maybe the dog's got it sorted. Maybe the dog's smarter than we are. Not all dogs are obviously happy, but they want to be. Can you say that about all humans? Sometimes we're like, a dog doesn't often intentionally try and make itself miserable and then not blame itself for that, but instead try and blame everyone else. We do that all the time. We love doing that. That's a human thing. We get wildly excited at the idea of martyring ourselves to something. Like, not not the intense version of martyring. I mean, it's like, I can't do that because, oh, I now have an excuse to stay home or not do that or whatever. I don't know. Yum, 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 yum. I'm usually happy. Nobody likes happy people. No, they don't. That's a good point. You know, it was in the, I hated it at university. You try and go out to a bar, and what would happen? If you were having too much fun in the line for a bar, the bouncer would tell you you're not allowed in, you're drunk. And you could have added one standard, but you're not allowed in. You're intoxicated. How do we know? Because you were smiling and having a good time. So what you do is you sit in this line for a bar or a club and try to look as depressed and numb and as sad as possible, because that's the only way to get into the bar with a stoic, blank-faced expression. And then once you're in there, you be careful. Once you're in there, there's a bouncer on the inside too, and if he sees you smiling too much, he'll kick you out as well. Honestly, I hate that, and I'm a smiley guy, so I could go into a bar with a big smile on my face after one beer, and already the bouncer's watching me going, don't you smile too much. That loud laugh, man, I'll kick you out of here. I'm like, that's not fun for me. I'm a house party guy. I want to go around to someone's house. I don't want a big muscly man watching me the whole time planning on kicking me out. Well, I have the first part but not the second, and it's tough. It's tough out there. Half the time the cocktails in your own house will be better anyway, right? Like, plus you can hear what people are saying, you can control the music and the volume. You know, if you had as much control over a bar as you do your own home, it'd be the best bar in town. And yet you go out to a bar that's strictly worse than your own house to experience something that's strictly worse than it would have been in your own living room. And the only reason that wouldn't be true is you didn't let your personality rock out through the whole house. Pardon me. You might have fallen into the trap of deciding to paint your walls a crisp colour of pure white. And so you spend your life trying to escape your home because it feels so utterly boring. And you walk into restaurants for the only reason, even though the food is worse, the drinks are worse, and the company's worse, that you don't want to experience the boring blandness of your own home, and the restaurant has, quote unquote, a vibe. Your house could have had that. You paid the same for paint. You just opted for no vibe. Fix that. Fix that. Someone's like, oh, didn't expect to be so seen right now. Just sitting here watching this live and I feel targeted. Sorry. See, when you're going to be messy like this, you need to be wearing gloves, because look at that. Just getting it all over my hand. That is gorgeous, my friend Aggie. Welcome on in. I love the name Aggie. There's a couple of names that I believe need to have a resurgence. You know, there's a couple that have gone. Gertrude, I think, was a name that I'm glad has maybe gone onto the maybe shelf. You know, we've all shelved it just for a generation or two. It might come back. Aggie is a beautiful name. Love Aggie. And the other name that's a great name that I think needs to come back, not a word of a lie, I think a great name, a lot of my mum's friends would call it, Gay. Gay is a lovely name for a female. And the word gay got adopted somewhere else, but actually it is a beautiful name. And without even thinking about connotations of a word, you know, we've got a lot of names out there. John, Bill, like all these names, think of how they roll around your mouth and the sound you make. And when you get a few of them, you're like, that is actually a lovely, like a great boy name that I really like, Otto. Say Otto. There's 55 of you here right now. If we all just go Otto, you don't need to touch your screen, or just Otto. What a lovely name. And then if you want to say it, Otto, you don't need to even like pronunciate it. But if you're like, Spanish or French, you say Otto. You know, like it's a great name on a bunch of levels. It's a great name, Otto. Plus, if you want to yell it out, it's that like Otto. You're not going to get it mixed up with Sam or David or Spencer. It's going to be pretty clear that they were calling out Otto. So, I'm just saying. The other one's gay. Because the G, a G is a nice sound for the human mouth to make. And then A. It's great female name. Great female name. And then another one, so you got Otto, gay. I like Lachlan. Anything with L sounds good. So Luke, but Luke kind of flicks up at the end. I don't think you need to do that. You've got Lachlan. Lachlan makes you kind of roll your tongue and then roll off it. Lachlan. Lachlan's a great name. I like Lachlan. Sebastian's a good name. It's pretty standard when it comes to my accent, my accent. But when people who are Spanish say Sebastian, like then you feel really great. So having a name that actually sounds cool in different accents, I think that's a fun play too. I don't know if you can hear that, but the wind, what's that song from that movie I've seen 20,000 times, Frozen? The wind blows wild on the mountain tonight. So behind me there, on that side, you may not see a lot of these trees, depending on where in the world you are. But those trees over there, like you've got kids named after you? Sarah Fema. Sarah is a nice name. Sarah. I like that. I probably like Sarah more than Sarah. Both great names actually. Sarah's a great name. Those trees behind me are gum trees. So gum trees, there's a classic Aussie song about them. Beneath the gum trees. Really romantic song. Anyway, those are massive trees. They're on the edge of my property. And those trees, great for a bunch of things. Koalas love them. Those cute little things that hug onto trees with the funny noses. And great shade comes from them. Great for timber. So gum. And I think they make gum. That's where they get their name from. But the only thing I've really used gum trees for in my time is firewood. Firewood and looking pretty. But it was quite funny. We had this girl from New York here a couple of months ago now. And she saw them and said, oh, I love those trees. And her partner said, they're just gum trees. And I thought, it's funny how we do that, you know. So they're just this or just that. When actually, in this part of the world, although they're common, they could be so deeply unique somewhere else. That's kind of, who's that there? Stoyle. Stoylol. Stoylol. A unique first name. This is New Zealand. These are gum trees. Typically found, gum trees all over Australia though. Another tree I really like is a pine tree. Standard pine. You know, we always see pine in the DDD shops. You know, furniture shops. This is made out of pine. That's made out of pine. Pine's kind of this cheap, renewable, common tree. But actually, the pine tree is a pretty gorgeous tree. It's got a lot going for it. I like a pine tree. And yet, because it's so abundant, it doesn't get the love that it deserves, right? Who's it? Marcos. Marcos, welcome on in. Good to see you in here. And your real name is Solan. Am I pronouncing that right? Solan? Solan. Sol. I'd say Sol though, right? It's I mean, I don't mean to jump to conclusions here, but your nickname is Sol. S-O-L. It's like, no, my nickname's Jeremy. What are you talking about? beneath the gum trees. Do-do-do-do-do. See what I'm doing here? Hide. See that? When you hold these plates, you get a couple of options. If you hold it flat, you're kind of in a bit more danger of spilling things if you're carrying food to a table as a waiter. You can hold it here, and if you carry a plate to a table, you're allowed to drop it off. You're not supposed to do this. See where my thumb is? If that's someone's meal that I'm delivering as a waiter, and I know this, done a lot of waiting, my food, this area inside the lip, that's the guest's area. And that wider rim around the outside, that's the waiter's area. So you hold the plate like that, see? But if you're carrying a tray, you want to actually carry it with your fingers like that, because then you've got much more control over not dropping it. And at the whim, it's kind of like suspension in a car. So that way you've got all your drinks, all your food on the tray, and you're able to carry it to the table and put it down in front of them. You wouldn't throw it around like that though, that's disrespectful, but you've got control there. Why don't you use a normal paint board? Because the wood on the board sucks the liquid out of the paint, makes it dry, not as well. You have your thumb that goes through that little bit, and you know what? It's not very comfortable. It hurts your thumb, and I love that. Okay, this is great. Someone said, are those the mountains of Pennsylvania? Now, this is a very good sign. And the reason that's a good sign is this is not the mountains of Pennsylvania. This is, I'll show you this. We're gonna do this here actually, guys, because this is really important. These are not the mountains of Pennsylvania. This is the gorge of a place that I call home. This is this place. This grass you see under me is the gorge. We're at the gorge. Now, let me show you this. This is really, really important. I've talked about this, but I haven't actually shown you guys. So we're actually gonna do the process today. This will be very, very fun. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I see. I see, I see, I see. Suddenly I see, I see. Oh, let's get to the top. There we go. Okay, this is the gorge. This is where I live. This is going to be really, really fun. But this is the mountains of Pennsylvania. So it's still rough at the moment. It's the first time I've flipped it up this way. But that curvature there, that mountain that's starting to reveal itself, the sky is still quite unfinished, that's going to be Sugarloaf. And this is the valleys of Sugarloaf, and this is kind of where the shrubs and the vegetation of Pennsylvania comes in. But since this is going to look more like the reflection of mountains here as it splashes around, because this is actually the mountains in the sky where I'm from, and that's the water. But the idea of this picture, to make it as clear as possible, is that this one here exists as the counter opposite of the valley I call home. So this is my home, this is the gorge, and this compositionally will be very, very similar to the valley I call home. So that way, although it's not about the valley I call home, it's its own unique work. It has this nod in the reflection of it and the inverted composition of it to that painting. And it's basically the sequel to the same collector. But they said, can we go somewhere new? Can we go somewhere, you know, I want you to use your own inspiration and go somewhere completely fresh. Take me somewhere, you know. And I said, well, how about we make a painting and we call this one Crucible of Worlds. So the idea behind it is, how about we make a painting that is a bridge between my world and your one. And while it's a celebration of my world, it's going somewhere new, just like Shrek 2 did, the movie. It also has this nod to the previous painting and acts as a bridge between the two paintings. And suddenly a whole bunch of things in the first one become foreshadowing events for the second one, the Mountain of Sugarloaf and whatnot. It creates this connection. It creates this Crucible of Worlds. Big fan of it, massive fan of it. And so then what happens then? Does it go, have the same style to it? Well, a little bit. Does it need to have the same style? Not really. It's going to its own unique place. It's while it will have similarities with the pigments and colours, the paint on this one's going to be thicker. It's going to behave slightly differently, as if, I think when I looked at the valley I call home, there was much more of this giant landscape that was super serene, and I kind of felt this peaceful, glossy nature to it that we actually brought out in the artwork with lots and lots of layers, but it was much more smooth. Now this one here is textured. This is really, really thick paint all over the surface. I've shown you before. And the idea behind that thick paint is, you know, at a moment's notice, this place, that's a little plant there growing off the side. I'll grab out a little bit. This is called a ladder fern, this here, a ladder fern. Now, things are growing out of everywhere here, jutting out at you, smooth stuff, supple stuff, but it's everywhere, abundant, clawing up over you, holding you, hugging you, making this place feel cozy. This is the gorge. So to leverage that in this picture, the texture comes out at you. Although it's also an expansive landscape, the texture jumps out at you like these plants and these shrubs and these trees, bloop, coming off the page. And that is the idea. All right, and this, see that? That is a painted maple leaf. Landed here. I'll even use it a little bit, there we go. Wonderful. The gorge is painting the gorge. How about that? How about that? Oh, I just bent down to see who that was, and now I've got paint all over my hand. Hoda, welcome on in. It's been a hot second. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. I haven't said hi for a while, but trust me, I have seen your posts. Yeah, I don't know if I like them or not though. I did see them. I need to start liking them though, so you know I was there. The problem is, it's usually late at night and I'm scrolling on my phone, and you know when you get into a vibe of scrolling and you just go in like this, and then the like button is like across the side, especially on reels, and so you need to get your other hand involved. I'm not about that life, I just like to scroll. But then when you're on Instagram with posts, it's on the closer side, and so then you've got your phone above your head like this, and you want to like a post, you know, where the little likes are below the post, and I move my thumb to push it, no word of a lie, move my thumb to push it, and the phone flicks out of my hand and lands on my face. So it's not that I want to like a lot more posts than I do. My biggest issue is it's a health and safety hazard late at night, doom scrolling. So thanks, Hoda. Yeah, Loki's on a cruise. Where is he off to? He's just hanging around, having a little look around. He's a good fella. So I've been dabbling away. I really like Loki, and I've been thinking to myself, maybe he keeps his knackers, you know? There is a dog retreat across the road from us, and I kind of think I'd love for him to go there, and if he goes there, he needs to not have the old knacky whackers. But I like him so much, I'm like, but I want to kind of breed from, like, I'd love to get, like, I'd love the next dog to be Loki's kid, but maybe the old knacker whackers get the old chippy chop. He'd be gutted if he could hear this conversation. It does also, you know, that changes the, he's a very passive dog, you already see that, and like, normally I'll be very, very keen to do that because it makes the dog safer, you know, and with young kids and things like that. But when he's so well behaved already, you're like, mate, you're putting up a really good argument to keep those crown jewels. Alright, tidy. And it's great too, when the dogs across the roads bark, He's so good about it. He's so good. He doesn't bark back. He listens. He's looking up and he's listening, but he's not barking back, and I kind of like that. So we do get a bit of barking around our property, but that's listening to the neighbours' dogs. Loki doesn't bark. He does if you lock him outside and we're all inside and it's nice and warm inside and he's feeling left out. Then he'll give like 2 or 3 barks being like, hey, I know you don't want to leave me out of this occasion. You've clearly forgotten about me, so I'll just bark a few times so you know that I'm here. And then when you look at him and he realizes, oh, you know I'm outside. That hurts, boss. It really hurts. And then he just sits there and goes to sleep. He's like, you know you've left me outside. You can see me. Yet you did nothing. And in some ways that's more heartbreaking, that he's realized that you know he's outside and you're choosing to leave him there. So after how nice I've been to you, I fetched your stick, I looked after your daughter, I even let you give me head scratches, and yet here I am, outside in the cold. It's tough out there, team. It's tough. That's a good job. It's tough. And now we're using the, look at this. This is how thick the paint is on the brush. Voila. So we can paint with that much juice on the brush. Only because it's a rat tail. We can go from thick, slippy slop slapper wrappers. That's the official scientific name of a lot of paint on a brush. Thick, slippy slop slapper wrappers. And go straight back to thinner, more subtle dips and dabs. Again, all the correct scientific terminology for how to put paint on a canvas. You see, when we were in school, they were using the term slip, slop, slap, wrap, which is what you're supposed to do with sunscreen on your body. Except, what they didn't realize is at the time they were also teaching me how to put paint on a surface. You see, slip, slop, slap, wrap also applies sunscreen to a body, but more importantly, applies paint to a canvas. How about that? I'm not sure what the rat part's about. Probably that's a wrap. You know, that's the conclusion of a slip, slop, slap. And the slap itself, you know, some paintings deserve it. Some paintings are naughty paintings. But not all paintings deserve going past the slip slop. Slip slop, and if it's a naughty painting, it can get a slap. And then, if it's good enough, that's a wrap. Did you guys have that in school, or is that just a Kiwi thing? We had like a Harold the giraffe who would teach us how to slip slop slap with sunscreen. No, it was a turtle. It was Cody the turtle. It was Cody the turtle? Turtle called Cody who would teach you to put on sunscreen. Am I think that's right. I think that's right. Now we're on the reds at the moment, so I'm going to chuck some yellow. I hate yellows by themselves, but I'm going to chuck some yellow through my red, so we get kind of like a warmer red. A little bit of orange, but you see yellow's kind of artificial by itself, that big naughty dollop there. But if I get that yellow, and I'll show you this, if I whack that into there, voila, it's not quite as artificial as out of the tube orange. It has more of a warm, kind of natural feel to it, but it's not as intense and fake as a regular yellow is. So I get kind of, if you're going to play with yellows and oranges, I find you got to be really careful with them. They can look so fake and tacky so quickly. Well, I love that. I love those colours. You finish a painting, and everywhere where you see these bold yellows, that felt right at the time suddenly stand out as these kind of ugly synthetic slaps on the canvas that you wish you could have used, I don't know, something a bit more subtle. And then everything starts looking fake, you know, from your ultramarine blues to your reds to your greens. The yellows kind of create this gateway drug to believing that everything on the canvas is suddenly actually synthetic and meh. You don't want that. You don't want to go to that party. That's not where we want to be. We want to be letting the paint break down the barrier that you actually feel like you're gazing into a little abstract reality of the human imagination, designed to capture a moment inside actual reality. Or just an absolute mess. The coolest thing about painting is you can actually see, or anything, art in general, there's two sides to a coin. The first side is you can see this wonderfully deep universe and this great gaze into what the human mind is thinking and doing and constructing in front of you. And then you can also see it as just this absolute mess that's maybe just fun or it's absolute nonsense. And the only difference between those two worlds, that thin edge of the coin between two faces, is literally you, how you feel as the viewer. Not just in terms of you as an identity, but on that given day, how you feel. You decide whether the picture's actually valuable to you this day or meaningless to you on this given day. Deep and inspiring, or just plain bland and uninspirational. It's up to you. Sometimes I look at a painting and I think to myself, that is the worst painting I've seen in my entire life. I hate it. I'm not supposed to drink straight from these SodaStream bottles, so no one tells Shelby. And other times I look at the same painting and go, my God, that is my masterpiece. I love that piece so much. It's amazing. And it's funny because that's not uncommon for painters. Monet was a classic for it. He'd paint whole series, 40, 50 pictures for a gallery, and then the days beforehand, they'd have to show up early and take them off him because he had literally started just bonfired them and burned them. They're all awful. They're terrible. And you think, I'd love to see them and see if they were any different to the ones that survived, or if they were all just the same and the artist's feelings on any given day made him decide that actually now, no, they're all awful, I need to burn them all. You never know. You never know. We'll never know. He's passed away now. He's gone. He's left. He's left nothing but water lilies and the excessive use of the colour green. I need to use more green. No, I don't. I like the style. I'm going to get some white and grey into this orange though. Gotta be careful with that orange. You think you're on the right track and you just party with it just a little bit too much, and then your whole picture looks like a midlife crisis. Too much orange. Don't do it. I'll chuck some white in there and then a little bit of grey possibly, and turn it kind of like into a muted tan. And a muted tan, well, you know what? I don't mind playing with a muted tan. I think a muted tan is a good idea. Problem is, I need to find... we're going to need to put just a teeny tiny bit of Mars black in there instead of the grey. Just a tiny bit. Gotta be careful. Hello, Janice. Welcome on, and I'm fantastic. I'm painting the gorge. It's cold out here, and I think I'm getting little sandfly bites. So if I discover a sandfly bite on me, I might nip inside and chuck on a bit of insect repellent. But I haven't had the verification that it is a sandfly bite yet. It just kind of feels itchy. Itchy. Here we go. I say, like, I know it's from a distance, so it's sort of hard to see what's going on, but if I bring this up close to you, you can kind of see that the amount of texture that we're working to on any given stroke. Just really, the brush is almost just like a paddle that's just carrying an excessive amount. How close can I get to the camera and still have it in focus? Hold on, this will be a fun test. That's out of focus, but that's in focus-ish. You can see how much my hands shake. Hold on. It's because it's cold out, team. Okay, there we go. How still can I hold it? 1 second. It is cold. It's got a little bit of a shake. Makes me think I need to go inside and grab a jacket too. I need a jacket on, and I need a bit of mosquito repellent, and then we'll be away. But because of the abundant texture we're adding, we're not gently coming in here like this and just doing little dabs. We're actually working on quite a grandiose scale, and so while the brush strokes are flowing, the key is not to get hung up on tiny little areas, tiny little pockets, tiny little areas. So the fact I got a little bit of a shake in the cold isn't the biggest deal. G'day, Steve. Steve, this is the gorge, and everyone else who's new here at the moment, and this is a fun little view because from here you can see gum trees. My garden isn't just flowers, it's also big old gum trees. So I hope those gum trees stand for a long, long time longer, but if they do fall, gums make great firewood. And if it falls in this direction, wonderful thing, because then it'll be closer to the house, less work. Who's that there? Tali Muravent. Tali Muravent, thank you very much for the follow. And anyone else who popped a follow there. I was just looking at the comment section when Tahi was there. You love the water? You hear water? No, you don't. Well, we're painting a bit of water here, but the water's way further down the hill, Steve, and should be really quiet today. What you're hearing is look at that tree there, the way it's moving. You're hearing the wind gently going through gums. If you were thirsty and you thought you heard water and you were wandering around these hills, you'd be wandering for a good long time. But yeah, finishing off that thought though, really appreciate the follows, team. It helps this painting not just provide a bit of joy to the person who's going to own it, but also reach more people in little ways, and hopefully it gives them a little bit of a spark of joy for their day. So simply by hitting like and follow, you kind of make that possible. You know, a lot of us haven't actually seen Starry Starry Night in the flesh, and honestly it's kind of unnovel. The effect of Starry Starry Night for us, thanks Fairy for the follow, the effects of Starry Starry Night have kind of reached us through merchandise, or actually just through digital screens. We see it on Google, we see it on our phones, and that makes us actually, that's how it's had an impact on us. Now, did it have as much of an impact as in the flesh would have? If we could run our hands over the painting? No. Running your hands over a painting and touching the texture, that's how you connect with something. You touch it, you feel its curves, you understand the actual paint strokes. And with a painting like this that's thick and juicy, this one has to, we won't all get the opportunity to touch it, but I'll tell you what, the owner will. They'll be able to stroke the thickness of the paint on the surface and understand a little more about it than we have the ability to digitally from our phones. Now that's okay, but that doesn't mean that we can't get something from it digitally, that it can't actually add something to our lives through the screen. And it does that simply by seeing it, simply by seeing this and not an ad, simply by seeing this and not some other random thing on Instagram. Instagram's been giving me a lot of jokes lately, funny jokes. Trush, thank you. A lot of funny jokes, but when they're not funny things, sometimes they're not. Hey Jessica. Sometimes they're not funny things. Sometimes it's just stuff that's making me worried and keeping me up late at night and scaring me and, you know, making me trust my fellow man or woman or whoever less. I don't want that in my life. I want positivity. And sometimes just giving someone else the opportunity to scroll by something as pointless as a New Zealander in their backyard painting a canvas of a picture of a gorge that flips upside down to look like Pennsylvania to ship off to the USA. sometimes that's a breath of fresh air. Happy I could be here for you. But I can tell you one thing. I can make you a promise right here and now to the 57 people who are currently in this live. I promise you from the bottom of my heart, the jokes don't get better, and neither does the art. So if you're not happy with it right now, I'm so sorry. No, the obvious, no, it doesn't get better. It'll continue to reach its finished result, but the art's beautiful the whole way along. Right now, in its raw kind of state, it's a real treat. Hey Birdie, welcome on in. It's a real treat the way it is right now. It's raw and it's rough. It's going to get more detail in it, but sometimes art has a special allure before it even reaches that point. So, this is good though. Those blacks that we chucked on last time, you can see them sinking on back. They're really helping carve out the sides of the gorge, showing us where those pieces are inside the picture. Saw, welcome on in. I'm not selling it, no. It's been sold. This is a commissioned piece, and so the owner of this piece already owns a piece in Pennsylvania. And I'll show you a bit about this picture. So Pennsylvania is a long way from here, obviously. And anyone else who's just recently joined in, Birdie, Steve, you guys might even recognize the piece we did. It was the valley I call home. It was the piece that had the Sugarloaf Canyon mountain there, and then the green land, and a little bit of pink above the mountain. Lovely little charming piece. I really like that one. This is the gorge. It's the sequel to the valley I call home. So when I flip it upside down, compositionally, Sugarloaf, the mountain in the valley I call home, is reflected here. Now the sky hasn't been fully realized yet. We're still working on bits and pieces of it. But most importantly, that Sugarloaf mountain is here, with the valleys of Pennsylvania appearing here. So when you flip the piece upside down, there's this nod to the previous piece. And that's why this piece is called Crucible of Worlds. It's the world of New Zealand, it's the world of Pennsylvania, it's that Crucible of Worlds, the combination of the two. Going somewhere new, but also giving a nod to what has been. And so this collector here has got two pieces. The first one, the valley I call home, and this one, the sequel. And that's the cute little nod there. Now, the key thing to it is not to let that mountain, that Sugarloaf mountain, control the composition of it. It's a nod. It's a very subtle moment in the piece. But where this piece actually wants to go is to show the beauty of the gorge, to go to its own really unique place. Hey guys, we've got a bit of rain coming in here, so I'm gonna need to cancel the live, but I am around all day. I'm gonna go out to the shed and gesso 2 panels, and I'll join you with those things. But we're gonna cut this one here before the rain makes my juicy textures run. Much love from the New Zealand studio, guys. I hope you all have an amazing day or night. You're all a pack of champions.